Hey guys, welcome back to Learnify. In this video I'm going to be going over fertilization in IB Biology topic 11.4. You may already think you know what fertilization means, and in a colloquial sense we know that it's referring to sperm and the egg, or the secondary oocyte, coming together to form a zygote, which will eventually become an embryo or a new baby. But before this happens, there are many other important processes that need to occur. For example, there are millions of sperm that have to fight their way to get into the egg itself, right? And after getting to the egg itself, it has to penetrate the layers of the egg. And after it even fuses with the egg and its nuclei enter the cytoplasm of the egg, there are other reactions that occur to prevent polyspermy, which is where multiple sperm fertilize a single egg, which can lead to polyploidy, and that is bad. So let's start off with traveling to the oviduct. So the oviduct, sometimes called the fallopian tube, is the general area in which fertilization occurs. So before the sperm travel to the oviduct, there are chemical changes that occur. So one such reaction is the cholesterol coat being dissolved by some enzymes. Well, this helps to increase motility of the sperm, making it more likely to reach the end goal, which is the egg. Also, the acrosome is destabilized so that it helps prepare the acrosome for the acrosome reaction. More specifically, the cap of the acrosome. So it's near the head of the sperm. So if you have the sperm, you have the acrosome somewhere here. The cap is sort of destabilized so that the acrosome reaction can occur more easily. Now let's talk about the sperm actually reaching the egg. So this is what a typical egg would look like, with this outer layer called the corona radiata. Right? The corona radiata, which I believe, I might need to double check, or one of you guys might have to comment, is made out of follicle cells. Correct me if I'm wrong. And inside, or from the inner part of the corona radiata, is this other layer called the Zona Pellucida, and sometimes this is called the jelly coat. And inside that is actually going to be the cell membrane. I'm going to write CM, or plasma membrane, as IB Biology likes to call it, the PM, plasma membrane. Then you have the egg cell itself. So you have the nucleus, you have the cortical granules, which we'll get to later. So what happens is the sperm can typically penetrate to the corona radiata if it's strong enough. But once it goes near this zona pellucida, it can't just go through with brute force. It has to do something more clever. It has to undergo the acrosome reaction, whereby the acrosome is released and it conducts hydrolytic enzymatic activity that enables the sperm to penetrate the zona pellucida. And once it penetrates the zona pellucida, it can reach these docking proteins on the cell membrane of the egg. And what happens is the sperm can release its DNA, the genetic material, into the egg, right? So the sperm itself does not fully go into the egg. Its genetic material is released, because after all, we only need the genetic material to combine in order for fertilization to occur. Finally, we have this thing called the cortical reaction. Once the sperm nuclei, or the DNA, enters the egg, what happens is these cortical granules actually release enzymes via exocytosis, which conduct two main functions. So the first part is that it thickens this zona pellucida layer, so it prevents other sperm from penetrating this layer. However, what do you do if another sperm's already penetrated it? Well, then we have these docking proteins that are also eliminated. So pretend there are docking proteins I've drawn all around the plasma membrane of the egg, and those will also be destroyed, preventing other sperm from entering the egg. This is important in preventing polyspermy and preventing polyploidy, because polyploidy prevents or causes the loss of fertility for an organism. That is pretty much the process of fertilization. So let's have a crack at an extended response. Here I found a 6-mark extended response to describe the process of fertilization in humans. Although I did mention that there are many reactions that occur prior to fertilization, such as in the uterus that prepare the sperm for being better, more likely to reach the egg itself. Considering that this question is only worth 6 marks, which I know is quite a bit, we're not going to consider much of the activity in the uterus. We're going to be considering the part where the sperm is near the egg in the oviduct and can actually penetrate the layers and eventually release its genetic information into the cytoplasm of the egg. So let's get started. I would first start by mentioning what fertilization is, providing like a general definition that's acceptable in IB biology. So I'd say fertilization is the process by which nuclei of the sperm and egg fuse to form a zygote. Next, I would talk about where fertilization occurs, because this is probably going to be a mark point. Fertilization usually occurs in the oviduct. The sperm breaks through the corona radiata surrounding the secondary oocyte. If you guys want to learn about secondary oocyte formation and oogenesis, I'll be linking a video to the top right. Watch my video, it's really nice. Now that we're here, we're going to talk about the acrosome reaction. The acrosome reaction occurs where hydrolytic enzymes are released to enable the penetration of the Zona Pellucida. This enables the sperm to reach the plasma membrane of the egg. The plasma membrane of the egg has docking proteins, that enable the sperm to release nucleus into the egg's cytoplasm. Next, what happens is after the sperm nucleus actually enters the egg cytoplasm, we have the cortical reaction occurs, whereby the cortical granules release enzymes into the zona pellucida to prevent polyspermy. This is done by hardening the zona pellucida and also blocking docking proteins on the egg's membrane. Preventing polyspermy prevents polyploidy, which is ultimately overall benefits the organism. Now I think that this is probably enough for the 6 mark question, because we've gone from the fertilization part to the actual cortical reaction, and this breaking through the layers to the cortical reaction should be enough for 6 marks. And we've also scattered some extra facts in there because IB biology has those small tiny points, such as probably the fertilization occurring in the oviduct, etc., where also the blocking of docking proteins on the egg membrane. So those tiny little mark points that are scattered throughout them are sort of like complementary to the explanation itself. So I'm trying to get those marks as well. Let's see if we hit the 6 marks. Let's get the criteria out. Okay, so here we are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. So that's quite generous. Yep. So let's go over. Sperm breaks through follicle cells / cells surrounding the ovum. Okay. So fertilization is the process by which nuclei of sperm and egg fuse to form a zygote. Looks like there's nothing there. Fertilization usually occurs in the oviduct. I'm quite surprised this does not have a mark point. But usually IB biology does have mark points for those kinds of facts. The sperm breaks through the corona radiata surrounding the secondary oocyte. Okay, so that's 1 mark point here. The sperm breaks through the follicle cells surrounding the ovum. So we have the corona radiata surrounding the secondary oocyte. Technically, it's not considered an ovum until fertilization occurs, so this mark scheme is kind of bad. The acrosome reaction occurs where hydrolytic enzymes are released to enable the penetration of the zona pellucida. Okay, so that's like Wow, 1, 2, 3 mark points in that one sentence. Talk about bang for your buck. You have triggers acrosome reaction right there. The proteases, hydrolytic enzymes, I said, are released and they digest or enable penetration of the zona pellucida, right? And this enables the sperm to reach the plasma membrane. So that's basically the same point. And the plasma membrane of the egg has docking proteins that enable the sperm to release its nutrients into the egg's cytoplasm. So I didn't really say the plasma membrane and sperm and egg fuse. A generous marker could give me that point for the docking protein, but let's not give me that point, okay? Cortical reaction. No, where were we up to? Yeah. So we have the sperm nucleus into the egg cytoplasm. So sperm nucleus enters the egg. We get that point. Cortical reaction. We get that point. See how these one-word answers? They're like really easy points to hit. Acrosome reaction, cortical reaction, etc. Those are the mark points you must hit for in order to score highly. And cortical reaction occurs whereby cortical granules release enzymes into the zona pellucida to prevent polyspermy. So polyspermy is preventing sperm from entering. Yeah, I guess I could get that point. This is done by hardening of the zona pellucida. Zona pellucida, there should be pellucida. And also blocking docking proteins. Preventing polyspermy prevents polyploidy, which overall benefits the organism. I think I may have written a bit too much for this one, but hardening says cross-linking of the glycoproteins in Zona Pellucida. I could get that mark, so I do score 6 out of 6. I've hit more than 6 mark points, but of course you can't score more than 6 for a 6 mark question. The key takeaway there is probably that for this type of question about fertilization, you need to hit these mark points, the acrosome reaction and cortical reaction. And I was quite surprised to see that there weren't any mark points for polyspermy, oviduct, zygote, etc. But other than that, guys, that's probably going to be it for this video. I hope you guys learned something new about fertilization. And also I hope you guys enjoyed this new format which I've tried, where I do an extended response after covering a topic, which probably helps you guys more, where you're seeing the information being applied in an exam setting. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you have any topics you want to cover. We're reaching November exams, so hopefully you guys have topics you want me to cover for revision. Let me know. Have a good one.